Welcome back. Well, today is equipment cleanup day. So I've been working on this for part of the morning there already, but I haven't been able to get into my hives yet. It's still below zero, -3, -4 out there. Still a little bit of snow. So what I decided to do today is, last year I kind of got caught. I didn't have all my equipment ready when I needed it. So this year I've learned my lesson. I'm a slow learner, but I do learn. This year I'm making sure all my equipment is ready to go before I actually need it. So last fall when I put it all away, of course, I was at the end of the year, I was helping a buddy out. He did a few splits late in the year. We had to insulate him and stuff. So long story short, all the equipment came out of the apiary after the bees were broken down into how they were going to go to, into the long winter. So none of my equipment got looked after. I also, as I was going through this here, I found it's probably best to do this in the spring. Just throughout the fall, I don't have a building, so it all ends up kind of being put in the back shed there, kind of out of the way. So all sorts of dust, debris, the odd spider web and stuff like this got built on them all. So doing this in the spring, I think, is a good idea. So I think I'm going to get into doing this every year. But basically what I've done is I've brought every piece of equipment that I have pretty much in, with the exception of my nuke boxes, and that's part of the reason is I've already got those cleaned up. So I've already cleaned up all my swarm traps, and in fact I've got them set out already. So the swarm traps have already been cleaned up, they've been baited, they've been put out. We're not quite into the swarm season up here yet. We're still, I'm guessing, probably about 3 weeks to a month away from swarm season. But I do have to get through and clean up all the rest of my equipment. So this is a good time of the year. Not a whole lot going on out there to do exactly that. What I've gone through is I've gone through all my boxes. Anything that needed to be repaired, nailed back together, glued back together, anything that needed another coat of stain is what we're going to be kind of doing here today. But what I'm finding is the biggest thing is just kind of cleaning things up from last year. So going through all my boxes, as you can see, there's propolis they've got built up on them all. So it comes off relatively easy here right now. Just a quick scrape. It's amazing that they get everything kind of built up with propolis. Kind of look it all over, run it all down. And then what I've been doing is just some warm soapy water. Now when I say soapy water, I've got pretty much one drop of soap in this bucket. Partly because, well, you don't want to introduce the bees to any chemicals or anything like that. And I do use Dawn soap. And then just kind of wipe it all down. It gives you an opportunity to inspect it all, clean it all, make sure that it is all ready. And remember, we're going to be harvesting honey out of here, so we want it to be, sanitary as well. So the bees will look after 99.9% of it, but I just as soon have my bees busy making honey rather than doing the cleaning. I could probably do the cleaning a whole lot quicker. And as you can see, I'll go through and I'll touch this stuff up with a little bit of stain. That way it's ready to go too. That's pretty much it for that one. We'll set it off to the side. I'll show you, I've got a whole pile of equipment. Sticky boards. Once again, from all of the treatments last fall, just didn't get a chance to get it all cleaned right up. And I use a compressor for quite a bit of it. I've already blown most of these off, but it gets rid of a lot of the dust before you go. Now, the other thing to remember too is the inside of the boxes. Don't be afraid to go in there and scrape off the propolis. Make sure that they're ready for the frames that are coming. And once again, if there's anything there that needs to be repaired, now's the time to do it, being as we can't be doing a whole lot of stuff outside. I've also gone through my box behind me, so I've made sure any essential oils that I may have needed, so I do use the essential oils. I find they work quite well and the bees like it. So What do I use? I use tea tree oil, lemongrass, spearmint. There's another one. What is the fourth one? Tea tree, lemongrass, spearmint. I'll have to look at it there for you. So anything like that I was short, I've contacted the health food store. I've got those coming. That way, once again, when I need them, I'll have them. And like I say, just all of my different reducers. I want to make sure that they're ready to go when we need them. And of course, because I use the Hive heaters, my screen bottom boards. So the Hive heaters are still out there, and they probably will stay on for, I'm thinking, probably at least another month. Probably, maybe mid-June, end of June. I'll probably look at taking them off. So, once again, we are behind pretty much everybody down in the States here by pretty much, I'd say, at least a month. And that's really all it takes to get it all cleaned up. So you can go through it relatively quickly. Now, I don't imagine the big commercial guys go through this, but I do believe they will go through their boxes really quickly. They'll make sure that anything needs to be nailed back together is, I imagine they use boxes for 10 or 15 years, so eventually they're going to get wore out and just get replaced and stuff like that as well. So it's a good idea whether you're just a backyard beekeeper like myself or a hobbyist beekeeper. I've been called as well. So or if you're a big commercial guy, look after your equipment. It is after all, your equipment works well. You'll probably be happy with it, and it'll probably last a whole lot longer. This, to give you an idea, this screen bottom board now is going into its third year. And it pretty much looks brand new. All right, and the boxes. So they don't have to be perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but you are going to go in and take out the props from the inside, get them all ready to go. Once again, the bees will look after a lot of it. We just want to get the major part out of it. Give her a good wipe down. Oh. This box was on there for the winter, so needs to say it had a lot of bee poop on it from when they were finally able to get out the fly. I scraped most of that off, but just like that, they get all cleaned up pretty easy too. Okay, don't forget to clean your bee suit, your bee gloves. Look after all your equipment, so right down to your Hive tool. So I'm going to go through and clean mine up here again. One of the tips that one of the commercial beekeepers here gave me is, of course, going from hive to hive, they have to watch very closely that they don't transfer disease from, say, one yard to the other. He keeps all of his stainless steel tools in some winter, let me get this straight. It is winter windshield washer fluid. So he's got a jar that, almost, you see them kind of at the barbershops too. They'll drop it in there, and I guess the alcohol that's in there kills anything that's on it. So that's kind of a neat little bee tip. But here I just have the 1 apiary. So I'll go through, and you don't need these really, really sharp. I will sharpen this one. Square off the end is the kind of the biggest one. Make sure it's nice and square. And then, like I say, you don't want it to cut, but you want it to be sharp enough so that you can cut bee comb and stuff like that, but not too sharp so that it digs in. And you can kind of see this one here over the last couple of years is kind of getting a little bit rounded, so I'll get that cleaned up as well. But so bee gloves, you're going to want to look after. Get them all sewn up, cleaned off, washed out. I use rubbing alcohol. It takes the propolis off really, really easy. So I'll do the same thing with my bee suit. I'll bring it over here in a minute and I'll show you what I do there. But some rubbing alcohol cleans the propolis and everything right off. Then I'll throw it in the washing machine. Once again, be very careful. The bees aren't too receptive, let's call it that way, to a lot of perfumes or scents or smells and stuff like that. So just be careful as to what you use for laundry detergent when you're washing your suit. But I found a pair of gloves that wasn't done, so I figured I'd show you. Just a little bit on your cloth, and it doesn't take much. It takes a little bit of time for it to kind of soak into the propolis, but once you do, you can see it washes right off. And not everything's going to stick to your glove again. Some of the big heavier spots, don't be afraid to just grab your Hive tool. Once you get a little bit on there, you'll find it'll lift right off. A little bit of alcohol on there softens it right up. There you go. I'll just do this little finger a little bit more, but like I say, it works quite well. Don't be cheap on it though. You do have to get enough on there to actually soak into the propolis. It just seems to soften it up very easily, and I find it works quite well and saves me from buying a whole bunch of gloves. There you go. Look at that. There's a good tip. Clean all your buckets out, make sure they're all washed, all your feeders, make sure they're all cleaned out, ready to go. You don't want any mold or anything like that from old sugar water that's been sitting in there. You don't want to use that when you go to feed your bees here in the spring. Bee brushes, make sure that they're all ready to go. I've got, I just finished buying another bee brush. This one is made of horsehair. And one of the things I noticed last year is this seems to trap the bees really easy. So as you're brushing them off, it's nice and soft and everything. But I did see a video somewhere that said, you know what, try a regular synthetic bristle one. So I did get one. Let me see here, where did I put it? I haven't put it in here yet. Let me see if it's in my cabinet. Here it goes in my cabinet. So this one is, it's synthetic fibers. Now it's a whole lot softer. And I don't think the bees are going to get caught in this nearly as much. So I don't know, but I'm going to try it and find out. So we'll add this to our cabinet here. I'll have to get another hook put in there. But once again, try things out. Don't be afraid to try something. Once again, if I'm doing something, it doesn't necessarily mean it's right or wrong. I'm still learning, and I have a lot to learn. So if you have any comments, please let me know down below. But what do you prefer? Do you prefer the synthetic one, or do you prefer the horsehair one? I've heard arguments on both. So, oh, wintergreen, that's what it is. So lemongrass, tea tree, wintergreen. No, I missed the fourth one. Let me grab them. All right, so wintergreen, tea tree, lemongrass, and spearmint. So tea tree is the one that I'm just about out of. So I did order some more of that. These are the 4 that I use. Like I say, Don the Fat Bee Man has got some really good stuff here out there on essential oils. But I use essential oils in my sugar water that I feed to. He goes through, shows you how to mix it all up. It doesn't take a whole bunch, but I did notice I mixed up a jar like this, and last year I may have only used that much. So if you're just a hobbyist like myself, I would say recommend take Dawn's recipe and I'd half it. But it doesn't go bad. It is all oils. And a word of caution, don't use your wife's blender. Go buy a cheap one. The oils, the essential oils, will melt the plastic in the blender. I found out the hard way. I had to go buy my wife a nice new blender, but I got one now for my bees. Win-win. I think that's pretty much it. Let me grab my my suit and I'll show you how I do and what I do in order to clean that. For your bee suit, you're going to want to check it all over. So once again, everybody kind of has their own way. This is, once again, this is just what I do. So I use isopropyl alcohol or rubbing alcohol for any of the pollen. And then for the knees and the stains, I find they take a little bit extra. So I'm going to pre-treat this. So I find the spray 9 works great. And I'll put this on now because when I'm done here, I'm going to soak it, then I'm going to wash it. So this is going to come out. So this is really just kind of more of a pre-treat. I'll pre-treat all of the areas there that need it. And once again, you don't want to be cheap with it. Any of the honey drips or the stains, they'll come out. And then where you got propolis on there, it's a James proof bottle, not just a child proof bottle. I'll make sure that I have lots of rubbing alcohol, and then you're just going to want to rub that right in, let it sit, just kind of pre-treat the propolis, and then come back to it. The rubbing alcohol will soften it all up, part of the pre-treatment. And then between the borax that we're going to put it in, it will also help take out the alcohol. And of course, once again, we treat the knees and stuff like that really good as well. I think the bee suit is often one that is overlooked. You can see how the spray 9 is starting to break that down already and just starting to make it liquefy up there. So, and I don't think I had any other areas of propolis on there. And anywhere like that you did, you can use your Hive tool. I usually will just kind of scrape it off, and it you can see the propolis kind of lifts right off of it. All right, I'm just going to pre-treat a little bit more of this. Make sure your pockets and stuff are empty before you you go and you pre-soak it. And I'll show you what you can do with the screen here too. So mine does come right off, so I can take it off before I put it in the washing machine. The other thing I will do is, because the back gets all dirty, I will actually tuck it in. I'll fold it up, and I'll tuck it inside the sleeve, and then do this back up. And what that does is it protects that when it's in the washing machine. I don't have an agitated, I have one that just tumbles, so that works pretty good for in there. All right, I'll finish pre-treating this, and then I'll show you over at the sink. All right, so once I pre-treated it, I filled the sink with as hot of water as I possibly could. I put half a cup of borax in there and some Dawn dish soap. We just have it in the pump, but that's all it is. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to soak it in here in this water. Once again, as hot as I could possibly make it. And I'm going to let it soak for a couple hours. Make sure it's all in there, and that's it. One of the last things we have to clean is our smoker. So it gets all built up with creosote and everything like that in there from basically the slow smoldering burn that happens quite often. So let me take this outside and I'll show you how I clean this. Okay, so with our smoker, you can see it gets all built up and everything on the inside. Your inner channel here should come out. There we go. Make sure you dump it all out really good. The wind's blowing here pretty good. And then this one's not built up so much, but you can see it is built up here and a little bit on the outside. The easiest way to clean that, burn it off. See how it all starts to flake off there when you're done? Just give it a little bit of a tap and she'll all come right clean. We'll let that cool down. There you have it. I think we went through everything. So we went through all of our boxes, our covers, we got all them ready. All of our tools, everything that we would plan on using. Now, the one thing I didn't say or suggest, and you might just want to watch, is be ready. So in the spring is when your bees build up. The numbers are going to increase. Make sure that you have enough boxes. Make sure that you have enough frames. Make sure that you have enough foundation ready to go. So that's kind of the other thing that you want to stay ahead of. Other than that, I think we're all ready for the season. So if you like these videos, as always, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and of course ring this bell for notification when I upload new videos. And as always, if you have any questions, put them down below. I try to get back to everybody as soon as I can. So that's it. We'll see you next time. Now I gotta put all this away.